Really, the only thing that you need to be successful in college is to just show up for class and then get your assignments, do your assignments, turn them in, and ideally you'll pass the class and then they'll give you a degree. What I see from this is basically you're just jumping through a bunch of hoops to get to the point where you might be able to get the job that you want to have. And when you do, you're going to have a lot of student loan debts to pay off. And that's just not the way that I want to go with my life. You know, I did everything that I needed to do to make sure that I got into a good school that I wanted to go to. I did a lot of essays for scholarships, and I actually got a really good amount of scholarships. I did well in high school. I got a 3.8 GPA, and I got to school, and the next thing you know, I didn't go to class. And I did not do all my work. Thus, I made it halfway into my first semester in college, and then I dropped out. That was probably the hardest decision I have ever had to make, because I didn't see how my life could possibly work out not going to college. And to be honest with you, I still don't know what I'm going to do with my life not going to college. If you're thinking about going to college, make sure that you're ready to go. This includes being sure that you understand what's going to happen in college. You know, you got to understand how the system works and how, you know, you always have to write all these papers, you have to do all this research, and you have to understand how to balance your life while you're in school. But another part of being prepared is to make sure that you know what you're going into as far as your career-wise, you know. If you know exactly what career you want to have and what path you want to take in your life, then by all means, go to college, make it happen. But if you're lost, you know, don't spend all this money trying to find out what you want to do when you could have spent nothing at all and you could have still found out what you wanted to do. To me, colleges are businesses. They are trying to make money, and you have the money to pay them to get an education. Now, with that being said, it is really a good place to go to find information to get the teaching you need to be successful. But with this day and age, it's almost going to become unnecessary. Just about all the information that you need you can find on your own on the internet, or finding really good textbooks or just any book that can tell you how to do it. Now, it might not be the most scholarly type material, but you can still find a way to become a professional in the world that we're in. Now, I made the decision to go back to school this year after dropping out, which was last year. And it was a really hard decision to make to go back to school, but I felt it was the right one. I felt like I had to, and I did, and it's just not working out for me. So right now I'm still in school, but my grades are not up. It's gonna be almost inevitable for me to have to drop out, which is why I'm making this video right now, because it's kind of depressing and it's a really hard time for me right now. When I first stepped onto the college campus, I realized that I didn't fit in with the majority of people, because the majority of people going to college come from families that have money. And, you know, I didn't grow up in a family that had a lot of money. And in fact, my dad and my mom, they told me that they could not help me out with my college, even if they wanted to. And so it is my responsibility to pay for my college. And it's not like I have to go to college because they're paying for it and I have to do well, because otherwise they're going to lose money. This is my money, and I got to be smart with it. One of the other reasons why college just isn't for me is because I don't have to live this luxurious lifestyle. You know, there are a lot of statistics out there that show that when you get a bachelor's degree or higher, you're going to make over $1 million more in your lifetime. Now, that's some pretty cool stuff. But what if you don't need that money? I mean, what if you are happy living in a small house with a cheaper car, and you don't have all the latest gadgets and all that kind of stuff? You don't have the top of the line clothing. I mean, that's the way I live my life. And I'm okay with that, you know. I didn't grow up. I mean, it would be probably a big deal if I grew up being rather rich or wealthy and then having to settle for being poor and not so wealthy. I mean, yeah, that would probably suck, but I'm coming from nothing, so it's not really that big of a deal. I just want to get through my life and enjoy things while I can. You know, and everybody, when you're on college campuses, they kind of form groups of friends, kind of like happens in high school, and you know, you got some people in college that party really, really hard. I mean, college is a time of partying and having sex and drinking, doing other sorts of drugs and that sort of thing. And if you're living on campus, you better expect to be involved in some of that stuff or being around that stuff most of the time. And don't get me wrong, I don't believe that everybody is like that, but it's hard to find people that aren't. And if you're not, you know, you just have to get used to what's going on in the social environment at colleges. You know, I'm not into that sort of thing, so my purpose of going to college is simply for an education, is simply to further my career, if you want to call it that. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that I'd rather just try to do it on my own. And it's true that I'm giving up a lot of stuff by dropping out of college and giving up on it, but I feel like I'm gaining the freedom that I need in my life and the security and the strength that comes from myself rather than to being dependent on other people. I think that the bottom line is that there's nothing wrong with not going to college, or especially there's nothing wrong with just waiting to go so you can figure out exactly what you want to do with your life. And you have to know yourself well before you go to college. And the truth is, I didn't establish the person who I wanted to be yet. And college could be the place for you to discover yourself. It could be the place for you to really understand who you are, what you're interested in, and those sorts of things. But if you don't have that idea before you go in, college is just going to be a nightmare for you. And you might be depressed, you might fail a lot, and that's certainly what I did. And I tried to get back on the horse and get back into school, but it's so hard for me. And it's hard for me to accept that college just isn't for me. But I know it's not for me. And that puts me one step ahead of the game, because I know who I am and I know where I will exceed and excel, and it's just not in school. If you're thinking about going to college, just be sure that you think about everything and that you understand who you are, what you want. It might be the right decision for you, but don't be ashamed if it's just not for you. Don't feel the pressure to go because of your parents, because of peer pressure, society, all those sorts of things. And I have to advise you that if you don't go to college, you have to be okay with making less money. You have to be okay with the lifestyle you're choosing. Also, when it comes to educational type things, you have to be more active in finding the places and the resources for you to really learn the skills that you need to have outside of school that don't cost money. When you don't go to college, everything gets 10 times more difficult for you. That's just my opinion. I'm making a huge life decision by not being able to go to college, but I mean, I wasn't really doing anything there anyway, and you know, I guess it's just my place in life, and I gotta live with it, and I'm okay with that. And as you can see, I mean, I'm smiling right now because I'm happy. Not going to college doesn't mean that you're going to be unhappy. It's entirely irrelevant, and that's a liberating feeling. I mean, to know that no matter what, I'm going to be okay, and no matter what, you're going to be okay. So that's my message to you, and I hope that you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope that you enjoy watching all my other videos. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next one.